right, remote students, please press pause now and use the key that's on the screen right now to go over your homework. This was the practice version of the assignment. Grade yourself, see how you did, make sure you understand anything that you got wrong. And then the assignment attached to today's video, this video is your homework, and that's the one I'm going to grade for real. Okay, so first one was a practice. There's the key. Press pause and check yourself now. All right. Pseudoscience is our topic for today. Put the prefix pseudo in front of any word, means false. People with good vocabularies might use it in everyday language, but most of us don't. I mean, maybe you hear like, oh, she's not really my friend, she's just my pseudo friend. It's my frenemy. But pseudoscience is not just not science, but claiming to be scientific. Generally to try and convince you of something or convince you to do something. And this is important as far as scientific literacy because you are bombarded with pseudoscience every day. How? Where? Where do you think most of the pseudoscience you're exposed to comes from? Grace? That's pretty broad. Absolutely, but like, I mean, media covers everything. Internet is part of the media, sure. Yeah, I mean, yes, sometimes on the news, maybe you see a bit of pseudoscience. Most of them are at least trying, you know, to report legit science, but it's advertisements. Advertisements are by far the largest source of pseudoscience in our country, probably in any country. Tristan? Oh, sure. Yeah, they're all going to lie, right? But generally, they're not presenting it as science, right? There's lies, there's, you know, fabrications, there's bending the truth, and then there's saying something science when it's not. And boy, advertisers are often guilty of that because it's a really good way to get people to want to buy your product or consume whatever they're trying to get you to consume, right? So what I plan here, what I want out of this unit is for you all in the next couple of days to very much develop your very own built-in, it's called a BS detector. I want you to have excellent BS detectors that when you see any of these clues, we're about to go through like 5 clues, that your BS detector just starts beeping, right? That's what I want. And clue number 1, I'm not even going to write down because you just told me that if it's an advertisement, your BS detector should already be beeping, right? If they're trying to sell you something, you can't trust what they say in general. They're allowed to say that things are scientifically proven when it's not true. Truth in advertising is not effectively enforced, okay? So as soon as you know they're trying to sell you something, you should be immediately skeptical. Your BS detector should be beeping. You guys do understand what I mean when I say BS, right? We're on the same page, bad science? Absolutely, that's what it is, bad science. Good. So clue number 1, if it's an ad, probably not science. Clue number 2, I'll give you some examples of. Let's see. Read why big meals can kill you. That's an example of clue number 1. Warning. The purest filtered or distilled water is more dangerous than cigarettes because labs know how to test for disease markers in blood, but not in water. This is serious. It took me forever to figure out that this was, in fact, an ad for, it was like a full-page magazine ad. It's an ad for like a $10,000 whole house water filtration system. The purest filtered or distilled water may be more dangerous than cigarettes. Watch out, rats running wild in America. Oh, good, thank you. Hi.
Hello.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anna. It's your time. I know what it is. Just guidance. Yeah, might as well, just in case you don't come back. I'll try and remember to put the lecture online for you. If I don't, tell me tomorrow. Okay, last example is you're watching your favorite show, and the guy from the news comes on, interrupts your favorite show and says, 10 things in your kitchen that can kill you. More at 11. Or deadly radon gas in your basement. Tune in at 6 and find out. What do all these have in common? They probably are exaggerating. Why? How? What are they using to get your attention? Okay? Fear. Absolutely. Doesn't have to be fear. Here's an example that doesn't use fear. Where'd it go? Oh, yeah. Reindeer really can fly. At least they could 900 years ago, experts say. That's not fear. That's like, what, sentiment or nostalgia? Like, oh, Santa Claus. What's important is they're using your emotions to get your attention, to get you to do what they want you to do. It's called, well, anybody know? It's an S word. It's called sensationalism. And it doesn't automatically mean that the science isn't legit, but boy, it's a pretty good clue. It's a legit scientific finding that's interesting. You really shouldn't need to sensationalize. Are there 10 things in your kitchen that can kill you? Absolutely. Should you worry about that? No, not unless you're a real dope, right? Don't put the toaster in the sink. So sensationalism should get your BS detector beeping. Okay, an example of the next one is this. I don't know if I've told you this, but I do occasionally do real scientific research. It's been a while. 2 years ago in the summer, some other scientists and I got together and we did research in Ohio on parenting quality with lots of different metrics that we were measuring on the quality of different household parenting in Ohio. And once all the data was in and we analyzed it, our results basically indicated that my dad is the best dad in Ohio. And all your faces just changed. I had you for a minute, right? Like you were like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, maybe he does research. I don't know. I heard something about that maybe. And then suddenly I lost all of you. Why? Yeah. How do you know? I said I did real science on it. Did that not sound legit? Hayden, what was it?
You were just saying like lots of things to make us believe you.
Well, sure, but how did you know? Like, because you didn't know. I saw your face. You were like, oh, okay. And then, bam, I lost you. What was it that made me lose you? Which words?
One thing that your dad was the best at.
My dad. As soon as I said my dad, you were gone, right? As you should have been. That is a very obvious case. What do you call that? When something I said I did scientifically turns out to be something that would be super awesome for me, that's called bias. Excellent. Yeah, and it's of course not usually that obvious. Yeah, of course I want my dad to be the best. If he's the best dad, I've surely got a shot at the top 5 sons, right? It says something good about me. Yeah, so if the findings really benefit whoever's doing the study, not just whoever's doing the study though, it's usually not that obvious. Usually what this boils down to is follow the money. Science costs money. And if you look and find where the money came from, it can tell you a lot about what's going on. I'll give you an example. Early in my teaching career, I went to the first of many National Science Teacher Association conferences. A conference is when a bunch of people in the same line of work get together and talk about what they're doing. And part of a conference is always a big central exhibit hall where companies that sell things to that profession are trying to sell things to that profession by getting people in there, in this case teachers, into that hall and giving them a bunch of free stuff. Brochures, maybe little versions of their products. It's usually really fun. And I found this one booth. This is, mind you, this is like 17, 18 years ago. And this booth is for an organization called the Greening Earth Society. And they have all kinds of very professional looking brochures and pamphlets and stuff that looks like, boy, it looks like peer-reviewed journals. Looks super legit. And it takes a while to figure out what they're arguing. And what they're arguing is this: carbon dioxide, which is already a component of our atmosphere, but also is put into the atmosphere by industrial processes, combustion, by burning fossil fuels, essentially, right? That CO2 is actually what plants need, which is true, right? Plants do use CO2 to do photosynthesis. So we should basically not worry at all about burning all the fossil fuels we want, because that's just going to green up planet Earth more. It's going to make plants grow better. And I went, yeah, my BS detector is definitely beeping just because of the science I know, but okay, what's going on here? And so, man, it was one of my first cases of, hey, follow the money. And it takes a while, but you get to the back of this particular pamphlet and you see Greening Earth Society is a creation of Western Fuels Association Incorporated in partnership with the National Mining Association. Ding, right? Like, that's bias. That's, it doesn't automatically make everything false, but boy, it sure should make you suspicious, just like me saying my dad is the best dad. Does that make sense? All right, we'll do one more because it's the one you already know. We'll skip that for now. Small sample size. Which we talked about. Typically, small sample size equals bad. The study of 5 people is not a study. And we will stop there. Help me remember tomorrow that we need to go back and fill in the example from the one before, and then number 4. And then we'll spend the rest of tomorrow on number 5, which is a biggie and kind of a fun one. Questions? All right, your homework is those, that part 2 of experimental design analysis, and I hope you have a great day.